On the fateful day of February 24th, 2010, a horrific event shook SeaWorld. Its top trainer was fatally attacked by an orca during a performance. The animal dragged the woman into its tank and struck her repeatedly until she died. This was the grim, distressing, and violent attack on Dawn Brancheau, an incident that raised critical questions and changed everything about the relationship between humans and wild animals in captivity. In 1979, in Orlando, Florida, a 10-year-old girl named Dawn Brancheau visited the SeaWorld theme park with her family. At the time, one of the most fascinating and popular attractions was the Orca show, and young Dawn was eager to watch the performance. During the show, acrobatics, jumps, and spins amazed the audience, especially the 10-year-old girl. As she watched the trainers and animals interacting so harmoniously and playfully, Dawn was captivated. She was so enchanted that, on that very day, she made a decision on her own. This was what she wanted to do for the rest of her life. Determined to one day work as an animal trainer, Dawn studied psychology and animal behavior at the University of South Carolina. After graduating, she began working with marine animals at Six Flags Great Adventure in New Jersey. In 1996, she transferred to SeaWorld in Orlando, finally embarking on her long-awaited career working with orcas. That same year, she also got married. Everything was going perfectly for Dawn. She was making all her dreams come true. Before long, the orca trainer became a standout at the marine park. Charismatic and passionate about her work, she became the face of SeaWorld. Her image was featured in nearly all of the company's advertisements. In the year 2000, Dawn Brancheau appeared in a televised interview. She spoke confidently about the importance of maintaining peak physical condition to handle the intense demands of working with orcas. She herself ran marathons, cycled, lifted weights, and maintained a healthy diet. When Dawn began hosting the Orca show, she became the park's biggest attraction at the time. The term Orca show can be somewhat misleading. It first emerged in 1965 when SeaWorld acquired its first orca. That initial orca was nicknamed Shamu, began performing, and became a major success. Over the decades, the name of the show remained, and Shamu became the standard name given to various performing orcas. Dawn was passionate about her work, and her disciplined lifestyle never bothered her. She loved animals so much that she volunteered at a shelter and even kept several pets in her home. However, Dawn Brancheau paid little attention to her own safety. When she dived and trained with the orcas, or even during shows that left audiences in awe, she rarely watched out for herself. As a professional, she knew there were risks, but she also knew that attacks on humans were rare. Even though orcas are known as killer whales, they are neither whales nor killers. In earlier times, sailors and fishermen often witnessed these massive dolphins hunting. They were so impressed by their size and skill that they gave them the now famous title. And even after scientists discovered that orcas were not actually whales, the nickname stuck and remains to this day. These creatures are highly efficient predators, intelligent, and, most importantly, generally friendly toward humans. However, in captivity, stressful situations or unusual circumstances can lead to aggressive behavior. Dawn should have taken this into account, especially when she met Tilikum. Tilikum was a male orca captured in 1983 off the coast of Iceland when he was about 2 years old. He was first taken to the small Hafnarfjörður Marine Zoo near Reykjavik, Iceland, where he spent nearly a year. However, it was a traumatic period for him. Due to a lack of proper facilities, the zoo could not house the large animal comfortably, and in his tiny enclosure, Tilikum could only swim in circles or remain motionless at the water surface. In 1984, he was transferred to his new home, Sealand of the Pacific in Vancouver, Canada. There, he was placed with 2 older female orcas, Ida 2 and Nuka 4. However, this coexistence proved to be highly problematic. In orca societies, females hold the highest rank. This, combined with the stressful conditions of captivity, led the 2 female orcas to become extremely aggressive toward Tilikum, severely injuring him. As a frequent target, the male orca became deeply disturbed. The extreme stress caused him to develop stomach ulcers. He was often isolated in medical tanks for treatment. After enduring so much trauma, Tilikum became an aggressive animal. Sealand even sought advice from former SeaWorld head trainer Bruce Stevens, but little progress was made. Tilikum remained unpredictable. On February 20th, 1991, a Canadian marine biology student and competitive swimmer named Keldy Byrne was working at Sealand. The young woman was simply trying to earn some extra money, but she had no idea who she was dealing with. During her shift, she accidentally slipped and fell into the pool, where Tilikum, Nuka, and Ida were. She was dragged underwater and prevented from resurfacing. According to the coroner's report, all rescue attempts were thwarted by the Orcas. After hours, her body was finally recovered, but her death was ruled an accident. Following this tragedy, allegations of physical and psychological abuse suffered by the animals came to light. In 1992, Sealand was shut down, and the male orca was transferred to SeaWorld in Orlando. However, no attention was given to his aggressive reputation. On July 6, 1999, Daniel Dukes, a 27-year-old man, became Tilikum's second fatal victim. In addition to struggling with mental health issues, he had a history of minor offenses and trespassing. That night, after the park had closed, he managed to sneak in and make his way to the pool where the orca was kept. The next morning, his mutilated body was discovered. However, with no security footage or witnesses, the exact events of that night remain unknown. Despite this, the orca continued to be featured at SeaWorld. Tilikum and Dawn Brancheau, the renowned trainer, worked together for approximately 13 years, generating substantial revenue for the company. Over time, their relationship was described as close and collaborative. Dawn was an experienced and highly respected trainer. She developed a special connection with Tilikum, using training techniques based on positive reinforcement, rewarding desired behaviors with praise, affection, and food. This approach helped build a relationship of trust. Tilikum was one of the largest captive orcas and had a chilling history of fatal incidents. However, during Dawn's years working with him, there were no reports of aggressive behavior. But everything was about to change. A horrifying event was about to shock the world. On February 24th, 2010, the Dining with Shamu show was taking place at SeaWorld in Orlando, Florida. The show featured longtime partners, Tilikum and Dawn. In this setting, guests dined at an outdoor restaurant while watching the performance. The 40-year-old trainer was at ease with the orca. She had just finished stroking his nose. But what happened next left the audience and the world in shock. Dawn had stepped out of the pool and was lying near the edge, her face close to the water as she spoke to the orca. According to witness testimonies, Tilikum suddenly grabbed her ponytail and dragged her underwater. Other witnesses, however, claimed she was pulled by her arm or shoulder. With the trainer trapped in his jaws, Tilikum thrashed her violently in the water. The attack horrified everyone who witnessed it. According to the autopsy report, which was later made public, the violent shaking inflicted a horrific death upon Dawn. Her injuries included a fractured jaw, broken ribs, blunt force trauma to the head, a severed spinal cord, and the complete amputation of her left arm. Additionally, her scalp was completely torn from her head and was later found at the bottom of the pool. The official cause of death was ruled as drowning due to blunt force trauma. In Dawn Brancheau's case, being forcefully dragged underwater resulted in additional severe injuries beyond drowning. Despite the desperate attempts of other trainers to save the woman, the orca refused to release her. The creature kept her body in the pool for 45 minutes. Eventually, Dawn's body was recovered. Some sources claim that the tragic incident was recorded. However, if such a video exists, it is unlikely to ever be released. Many who witnessed the close bond between the trainer and the orca described it as a beautiful connection of love. But unfortunately, it was not enough. Dawn Brancheau's death had a significant impact both within the community of marine animal trainers and professionals and among the general public. The horrific event received extensive media coverage, sparking numerous debates on topics such as the welfare of marine animals in captivity and the role of theme parks. Many argued that these parks should focus on conservation and education rather than entertainment. Following the widespread societal impact, SeaWorld implemented significant changes to its training and interaction policies with orcas. The most notable modification was the ban on entering the water with the creatures during public performances. In 2013, the documentary Blackfish was released, focusing heavily on Tilikum and Dawn. It also highlights the conditions faced by orcas in captivity. In 2016, SeaWorld announced that it would stop breeding orcas. The company also committed to no longer accepting orcas that had been captured. As for Dawn Brancheau, her relatives and friends prefer to focus on how she lived rather than how she passed. Her family established a nonprofit foundation in her honor. Its mission, they said, is dedicated to improving the lives of children and animals in need, inspiring others to follow their dreams, and promoting the importance of community service.